Hi, my name is Christine McCormick. This is my violin file for Julia Plumb at UMA the spring semester of 2015. So, I want to explain first the parts of the violin and some issues that students will run into, and also how to hold the violin. This is all before I play a darn thing. Okay, so this is the violin. We have the body, which is this wooden part, which is broken into three parts. This lower section right here is called the lower bout. This is the upper bout. And this in the middle, where this indent is on each side, that's called the waist. You'll see on either side of the waist that you've got F-holes, and that helps to emit the sound and help to kind of get the woody noise. And you have that a lot on things like guitar. It kind of lets the sound from within the body of the instrument radiate out and kind of add its sound. It's a whole bunch of fun acoustic science. So down here you've got your chin piece, or your chin rest. It's going to be resting on the left hand side of your face, so that your left hand is playing on the fingerboard. But first, this is the tailpiece. It's right next to the chin rest, and you see these little silver dots here. You can tighten them or loosen them to get a better definition on your tuning. These are called fine tuners, and they just help out the main tuning pegs, which get the majority of the tuning job done, but oftentimes can't quite get there, and these aren't very exact. They'll get you right in the neighborhood, and then these ones really play with your tone. And if you're a little bit flat or you're a little sharp, those are the ones you're going to want to be going to, because these are a pain to tune with. Let me just say, they are a super pain. So, like I said, this here is the fingerboard. You've got 4 strings tuned in fifths. The lowest is a G, then you have a D, an A, and an E. You'll notice I've got little pieces of tape right here. A lot of beginning players who are struggling with finger placement and haven't quite gotten the to the level where they should be listening with their ear, they use this. While I have a good ear, I'm trying to focus on a little bit of technique, and I'm kind of being thrown right into the middle of violin without having started. So this was really helpful for me, but you're not going to see that on the violin in general unless a teacher puts it on or you put it on. Then you've got the tuning box right here, which holds the tuning pegs. A lot of times you'll find, especially in more severe climates, kind of like Maine in their winter and spring, that the humidity and the cold, or sometimes the heat from your house, it will cause the wood to contract and expand, which is really not good for an instrument. They really should be kept at a stable temperature where you're not going to find cracks in the wood, and hopefully that it's something that will help your tuning issues. I've found, especially in my house in the time of year I'm taking this lesson, that it's been very difficult. The tuning pegs, often you will twist them and they're really, really stiff because the wood is not quite fitting where it's supposed to go, or the fit is too tight sometimes. And then you'll just be plucking your string and you'll hear it fall right out of tune. It slides right down the octave, and it can get really, really frustrating. I have this one in fairly good tune right now because we are in the middle of April, so it's not quite as bad as it was when I started in January. So, like I said, tuning box, tuning pegs, you had the strings, and then this top part right here is called the scroll. It kind of looks like a fiddle head that you'd pick on the side of the river, so it's kind of neat. So that's the body of the violin. Oh, and I also forgot to mention this little piece right here. That's called the bridge. A lot of times, this isn't actually attached to the instrument, and a lot of times you'll find that it's not sitting quite at a 90-degree angle, which mine is kind of almost lopped over a little bit. You can kind of see it's needing a little bit of love. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let Julia do that because I am scared of these and I'm scared of breaking it. which I've come close to doing a couple times. But, so, that is the violin. This is the bow, which is how you get sound out of the violin unless you are plucking. You've got just the bow in general, and then you've got the hairs, which I have rosined. Rosin is a pitch substance that helps kind of give the hair more grip. When it plays a string, if it didn't have that grip and it was really slippery, you wouldn't be getting that friction that is causing the strings to vibrate and make a really nice sound like the violin can make. And really with that, you take the rosin and you kind of move up and down, and you just make sure it's covered every once in a while. This is the frog of the bow. It is where almost all the weight of it is. I mean, if you hold a bow, you'll notice like it will tip down, but like it's this that keeps the balance. It's well balanced. My thumb right now is on the frog, and this is how I've decided it's comfortable for me now to hold the violin bow. I have heard of people having their thumb down underneath. I have heard of that. As long as it's not touching, I'm sure that's okay. But I'm more comfortable supporting the weight with my hand, with my thumb on the frog. And you'll see my pinky is kind of dealing with, dealing with the balance of it. So if I let it go, my pinky pulls it back up. Let it go, pull back up. And these fingers are just kind of helping. They're going to get my hand motion going. So, that is the bow. One thing to mention is that when you store the violin in its case in a way, this little part on the bottom here will twist to loosen the hairs, or it will twist to tighten the hairs. When you play, you want it tight, but not crazy tight. You should be able to fit a pencil comfortably through, which I can with mine. I might be a little bit tight. It's a little bit better, but you loosen it so that it kind of gives your bow a little less tension while it's being stored. It's just better for the longevity of it. Yeah, so that's my bow. When a student holds the violin, like I did say earlier, it's going to be under their chin on the left side, and it should still support good posture. It should be fairly level with the floor, although a lot of times I have seen a slight angle, which I think would just depend on the player. Some students have a chin support rest, which would bring this up a little bit, and it would rest it a little more on my shoulder. However, I don't use that just because it's one more thing that's a little distracting, and I'm a little too short to feel super comfortable with it. So I like to just have it. You'll notice, and I'm going to show you, if I hold it like this, you should be able to keep it up without dropping it. Yeah, so that's how you hold the violin, and like I said, I did mention how to hold the bow. One thing you will notice in this video is that I am still trying to master the issue of having your bow playing straight. I'm going to sit up a little bit more, but to explain what I mean is that because it's off on your side, your visual perception of how straight your bow is really odd. So if I'm looking at it like I'm going straight, you can see I'm at an angle. From where I am looking, it looks straight. So you kind of have to play around in a mirror, and you have to kind of see what's straight, and that's actually a really good exercise. It's just super difficult to get, especially when everything's backwards. I'm gonna show you really quickly how a straight bow should be, and I'll tell you what I did afterwards. So I didn't even keep it very straight, which is, it's it's something you got to work on. And you know, getting your bow together with your fingers, together with how your strings sound when you're playing, it can all be very difficult. So don't get down on yourself too much. I am 22 years old and I am having the hardest time getting my bow to play straight. So don't worry about it. What you saw that I did is, or tried to do anyway, is that when I'm playing a string, you'll see that I follow through, but then like my arm kind of straightens out and pushes away. You'll see that it's not just and I moved. Again, I'm focusing on my hand here. My wrist is moving away and up, and it's a very fluid motion, but it can be really, really hard to master.